When installing the D16 extender, the first thing to do is to remove your original extraction vessel and base from the shroud. You will note on the coupler that there are two lines in here. You can see the lines on this side of this, and there are no lines on this side of this. Inside, we will see that we have an O-ring that's currently installed in an O-ring, what's called a gland or a slot inside. The size of that slot, and you can see by the width of this right here, you see the width of that right there is not the same as the width on this side. You can see that on this side it's much thinner. This right here is thin. This right here is thick. So they're different, and that means that there's a specific way that this coupler has to go on in order to couple the two tubes together. This is the part that's going to screw on to your original extraction vessel, to the top of your original extraction vessel. You won't be taking the base off your original extraction vessel. This coupler will screw onto the top of it, on that side. This is your original extraction tube here. Okay, it's removed from the shroud and brace. This is the top of it right here. Okay, now that top right there is going to screw in to the part of the coupler here with the two lines. So it's going to go like that on the top. Sometimes the O-ring that's inside there can fall out while you're doing the installation, and you do not want that to happen, because when you screw it down tight, it will pinch that O-ring. So the best way to do it is to leave this upside down, again with the lines like this, as you can see, pointing up. This is the upside that's going to attach onto the extractor, the old extraction vessel. This is the top of the old extraction vessel. We will turn the extraction vessel upside down and screw it top down into the coupler. That will ensure that the O-ring that's in the coupler, right in there, stays where it's supposed to stay. So the O-ring is situated in the gland, and we're now going to screw the original vessel into the coupler. It's important that you put some lubrication on these threads. Once your original vessel is screwed down into the coupler, as far as it will go by hand, now you will have to tighten it up. And this is where you're going to require either a large pipe wrench or a chain wrench. I will be showing you a chain wrench, and possibly another person at least, or a bench vise in order to tighten this down. The sealing surfaces where the O-ring is, it is imperative that they be very, very tight. Now I can lay it down laterally or horizontally and don't have to worry about the O-ring falling out of its gland, because it is now held in place by the tube sitting down on top of it. Here is the original vessel with the coupler attached. At this point, the coupler is hand tight. I will now take a chain wrench onto it and tighten it very, very tight. Here's the chain wrench. I will tighten it up like that on there, so it's gripping onto this knurled part of the coupler very, very tightly. And it's squeezed in the vise down there. So now I'm going to turn it, and you can see it's turning down. Okay, and I want to keep that going like that until it's extremely tight, which is where it is right now. That is tight to the point where it won't turn anymore. It will not turn anymore. That's as tight as it will go. Okay, now that's tight. Release the chain wrench. This, take it off. And now we're ready to install the new tube into this. Now when you receive this coupler, the new tube may be already attached to it. So all you would have to do is attach it to the old original vessel. Again, upside down so the O-ring wouldn't fall out. When you screw the new tube into the coupler, you're going to have about a 4-foot tall column. This is very heavy. Now what you want to do as well is put some lubricant on those threads, because you don't want that galling as you're screwing it on. So put a little bit of lubricant on there, screw it down hand tight against the O-ring. Now you can see here that it's been screwed down hand tight, but it's not fully tight. We need to put it back into the vise in order to tighten it into the coupler. So here's the entire assembly sitting in the vise. You can obviously see why the vise is required for this, or certainly desired for this. The whole thing is very heavy. I did this all myself, though. One person can do this. The chain wrench is attached to this, and now I can do the final tightening. So I'm going to tighten it down like this. You can see it will turn a bit. Okay, and I'll push it down as hard as I possibly can and get it to go as far as it can. And now that it's as tight like that, as far as I can push it, the coupling is done. Take off the chain wrench, and we are now ready to reinstall this back into the shroud. Make sure that you support this tube when you're running it, because it's quite heavy, it's quite tall, and it may fall over. Now you can take a flashlight and put it down there, and you'll be able to see if there's an O-ring sticking out and it's been pinched or not placed right. You don't want to see any black down inside there around where the base is touching the coupler. In any case, that is the way that you put the extender on the D16.